Okay, we have today Digital Bethak session 5, which is joined by a different industry experts from Europe, the Mark, Harvey, Brian, Anna, and Rizwan Afshar. Today we would have a wonderful 40 minutes because we have 2 decades of experienced professionals from a different portfolios. So, hi Rizwan, can you hear us?
I think you're on mute, Riz.
Yeah, Rizwan, you're on mute.
Rizwan, you are on mute. So meanwhile, let's join. So we need to have your little bit introduction for our audience. So let's start from Mark side. As Mark is a CRO at IPification, a big company in a security authentication. So let Mark to speak about IPification and about himself.
Brilliant. Thank you, everybody. And it's a pleasure to be joining the call, and I hope everybody is keeping safe and well with their families at home. So, as you say, my name's Mark Harvey. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer with IPification. We work globally with mobile operators, deploying our technology, which then in turn enables a secure, seamless authentication that banks, e-commerce companies, healthcare companies, etc., can use. It enables a simplified user experience while keeping privacy in mind. It also prevents things like SIM swapping or SIM jacking, depending on the terminology that you want to use. But as I say, it's an absolute pleasure to join the rest of the panel today, and I'm really excited about the next 40 minutes that we're going to share together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark, for your introduction and for your valuable time to be here. So, Brian, so tell me a little bit about you and your experience.
Sure. So my name is Brian James Douglas. I work for a company called Escudo Web. We've been developing EdTech software since the year 2010. We currently have over 500,000 children, mainly in the Spanish-speaking world up until now, using some of our solutions, which are basically classroom-oriented, educational, to ensure that children learn in a safe, secure environment. So it's all about protecting children, and in particular, when they're faced with the World Wide Web and access to the good, the bad, and the ugly, that they do this in a very safe and secure environment, and in particular, filtering content out, which is very, very important to ensure that they learn what they should be learning and not other things.
Thank you, Brian. Now we want Anna to introduce herself.
Thank you, and thank you for having me on this call. My name is Anna, and I'm the CEO of NetClean. NetClean developed world-leading technologies to stop the spread of child sexual abuse material, and we are focusing on the workplace where employers can use our detection tool to detect consumption of child sexual abuse material within their IT environment.
Thank you so much. So I just wanted to learn from you. So Mark, can you speak about the COVID-19 impact on the mobile industry?
Yeah, sure. I think it's something that in our day and age that we didn't really expect to ever face. It's turned really the world upside down. And, sort of seeing everybody today, normally we're sat, in our offices with people bustling behind us, etc. But really what we've now had to do is not only work from home, but rely on technology even more. And part of that technology ultimately is the mobile phone and therefore the mobile networks. So, the capacity that the mobile operators are delivering for us now, I think is absolutely amazing. My ex-colleagues at the GSMA are again supporting wherever possible the mobile operators, as we all are in this industry really. So I think what it's done is shown a couple of things. One, that, you know, in tough times, the mobile operators can deliver and continue to keep us connected. And I appreciate what, you know, Brian and Anna are also saying around, you know, from a child protection point of view, there's more children now accessing software because of schooling from home and so on and so forth. So, you know, we're looking at things in a very different way. But ultimately having the support from that mobile base, that mobile operator is really important. So I think this is something we're now learning to cope with. But we don't necessarily have all of the security practices in place. And that's why it's really, really important that we adopt these practices really, really quickly. And I'm really keen to understand more from Brian and Anna in terms of how we can collaborate to make that happen. But a big thank you from me and my colleagues at Ipification for, you know, to the mobile community for keeping us all connected in these times.
Thank you so much, Mark. So Brian, so can you please enlighten some words about Mark said?
Sure. So on the COVID-19, obviously, schools all over the world are closed, and we're not even sure when schools will reopen. So what's happened is children have gone from a very safe environment, which is normally a school, to a potentially very unsafe environment, which is working from home on devices, which could be mobile phone, it could be a tablet, it could be a PC. And unless we add some security elements to this, it means that children, on the one hand, they're not going to learn very much because they have so many distractions on the web. We need to ensure that children learn safely, that they remain on task, and that they are focused. Now, unless we put systems and we put tools, software tools in place, basically what can happen from the period when schools closed, which in most cases was end of March time, until when they reopen, education almost stops. So if we want children to learn, we have to put into place these tools, and we have to ensure that children do use technology, because technology can be very, very powerful. It can be very, very enriching, but at the same time, it's also very hazardous, the environment potentially that children can suddenly go into. So we need to manage and control that, and it's not always done by either taking the device away from the child, because this is almost the key, and it's the tool that they need to actually be able to learn from. But it's adding some elements, adding some other security layers of safety, which are going to protect them and ensure that this learning does continue. In fact, and so be even more effective, because they're not going to have a lot of the distractions that they have in the classroom. So it's a potentially good world that they're going into at the moment. It's a completely different way of working, but we need to ensure that that is done safely and securely.
Thank you so much, Brian. And actually, we don't know why we cannot hear Rizwan Afshar voice. Actually,
Can you
his
hear me
mic
now?
is unmuted. So, yeah, we can hear you now. It's great. So
Can you hear me now?
let's Rizwan start from Anna.
Sorry, should I continue?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Hi. So hi guys, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. It was a trouble.
Welcome everyone. So let's say hey Sverige, hola España, and hello UK, and salam Pakistan.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much.
So Anna, was I correct? My Swedish is a bit shaky.
No, it was really good.
Okay, so first of all, I think let's pay a little tribute to the health workers, the doctors and the nurses who have put their lives on risk on the front line. So, let's all say that we salute you. So, on the count of 1, 2, 3, let's all say we salute you. 1, 2, 3.
We salute you.
We salute you.
Salute you, doctor and paramedic staff.
Thank you. Okay, so Anna, I just wanted to ask that if you can elaborate a bit on the consumption pattern of the child sexual abuse material on online, and who's the abuser, and especially in the wake of COVID-19, where remote work is more into play, and what impact it's having on overall work environments, home environments, and how the children access is furthermore at risk towards that material and the perpetrators.
Yes, sure. Thank you. Yeah, so NetClean has been around since 2003. So we've been doing this, finding out technologies to detect child sexual abuse consumption since we started to post images on the internet, basically. We have a yearly report where we survey law enforcement agencies globally on how they see the trends in child sexual abuse crimes. So we have a lot of knowledge around this area. And with that, I would like to talk a bit about the consumption pattern and who the consumer is. And we often, when we try to get our products out there, we get in conversations about, well, we are a bank, we don't have people with that kind of interest in your organization. And we always come back to say to them, well, you do, because there is no typical offender, and everyone could be a potential consumer of child sexual abuse material. And it's so important to understand that, because I think that the common understanding of a perpetrator or offender is someone that sort of is isolated and not in social context. But we know that most people that are under investigation or possession of child sexual abuse material have an employment, and that's why it's so important to actually look at this type of material within the employer environment. With that say, coming back to COVID-19, we know that from our reports that most of the alarms in our customer systems appears when people are working remotely, when they are not in the office and they use the company computer to do so. It could be in conjunction with the business trips or long weekends, but we know that most of the abuse of the corporate assets are happening away from the workplace. And with the COVID-19, as Brian said, and also Mark, more children than ever are connected to the internet. And we also know that more offenders than ever are connected to the internet. I heard a report from Europol the other day where they said that they have seen an increase in chat forums on dark web, where offenders are talking about that this is a golden opportunity to actually abuse children on the internet today. So there is a really high risk for children today in the COVID-19 situation. And I do think that the business environment are not ready for the remote work that people are doing at the moment. If we look at child sexual abuse material, I would say that it could be, it's a lot of material that is out there, and it could be produced in different ways. One way is that the offender is actually producing the material itself by raping children. The other thing is that the offender is grooming children into producing material on themselves. And the third thing is voluntarily produced material, which is basically what we see is increasing at the moment. And that is when children are voluntarily producing material. They are chatting with a peer, or could be a boyfriend or girlfriend, and they are sending pictures across the internet to each other in good faith, and that those pictures are ending up in other collections. Coming back to the workplace, I know that most companies have a lot of filtering solutions today, but you have to understand the consumption pattern of this material. Most of the material is downloaded from the darknet or peer-to-peer network or shared over encrypted applications, which is not easy to detect with the ordinary filter solutions. So you really have to know what you are looking for in order to find it. Therefore, it's so important to actually look for the specific content itself rather than just blocking on web addresses.
Okay, thank you very much, Anna. I'll come back to you with some more questions around GSMA, but I wanted to go back to Mark for a quick one. Mark, what's the importance of authentication in the digital journey and the digital age we live in, and especially in the last few months, you know, sort of everything has become digital and online and virtual, number one. And how does IPification service different from other forms of authentication? And in which markets your authentication services are available, if you can elaborate a bit.
Yeah, sure. So I think people tend to forget the importance of authenticating a device securely. If you think about it as a key, we have a key to our car, we have a key to our house, normally a key to a lot of possessions that are extremely valuable. And really that's the start of any journey, is that authentication piece. And if that is done correctly in a secure manner that also takes privacy in mind, it's actually setting up the entire consumer journey to be safe and secure. Not only that first time, but subsequent logins as well. So, you know, a lot of people may use or be familiar with an SMS OTP type of thing. In our opinion, it's not the most secure solution out there. And we're not saying that we also have the silver bullet. You know, we're not adverse to biometrics. We're not adverse to partnering with other companies. But what we are saying is take authentication really seriously. You know, the topic we're talking about today about child safety, I'm a proud father of 5 children myself. And I'm also making sure that when they are logging on to these, you know, new websites and so on and so forth, they're logging on in a secure manner, because I don't want their data to be interrupted. I don't want it to be taken and so on and so forth. And, you know, as Anna was saying, sometimes, you know, children sharing images with each other may be very innocent images in a normal life, but there's people and predators out there that will take advantage of those things. And if people aren't securing and authenticating correctly in the first place, they're leaving themselves to be exposed to those predators. So it's really, really important that authentication is taken seriously. In terms of the IPification service and how it operates, we are embedding our technology in the core of the mobile operator. So we don't trust the actual mobile device. I'll go as far as saying we actually don't trust the person either to a degree. So we are taking direct signals from the core mobile operator and confirming in that authentication the mobile number, the SIM card number, and the device number. So we're linking, we call it the golden triangle. We're linking those 3 together to ensure that nothing has been changed. There's nothing that's been compromised during that authentication. We then hash that information and then pass it to the subsequent, be it bank or e-commerce company or online child education company, etc. So that when you come in a second time, we can securely say that those elements haven't changed. Therefore, it's a secure transaction that's taking place, or a secure authentication that's taking place. In terms of our reach, I'm really, really proud to say that we are probably addressing over 1 billion individuals now globally that have access to our service, and that's growing on a monthly basis. I work with a very, very well-versed team. Some of them are ex-GSMA and also worked in the identity platform. Other people, our CEO, for instance, has many, many years experience in the telecom space as well. We're predominantly in Asia Pacific, And we're slowly working our way now across into Europe. And we do, ask for anybody that can help support our growth would be great, because ultimately it's protecting the consumers and it's keeping people safe online. So yeah, that's a little touch of where we're from.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark. Really appreciate your thought process on your products. Coming back to Brian. Brian, if you can explain a bit on the scenarios while remote schooling and digital schooling is now gaining traction. So, explain a bit on the digital devices and especially your educational content, which is available on your particular software and solution, and how schools and also MNOs can work in some kind of synergy and harmony, and how best the product and the solution is positioned, and what's the impact and the benefit in terms of number one, seamless digital access to online education remotely, and how children can be prevented from non-educational content and something which hinders their ethical access to wrong kind of information.
I'm trying to remember all of that and answer all of those. So what a lot of governments and certainly people who are coming at this new normal working from home think, it's just a question of taking a device and giving it to a child. It seems very simplistic, but at the end of the day, we need many more levels than that. Having a device is the first thing. We have a number of different platforms in the educational world. We have Google Chromebooks, and we also, in larger part of the world up until now, have the Microsoft platforms. And these are both also very good platforms per se, but none of these provide really the secure environment that children need, and also that schools who are trying to impart this education also need as well. So just giving a child a device, allowing them to access through Microsoft Teams is not really enough. So one of the things that that we have developed is this layer of security, which on the one hand acts as a form of classroom manager. In other words, that the teacher, and especially now during this crisis, the teacher can actually see every single child's desktop through a little thumbnail to ensure that they're on task, to ensure that they're actually working correctly. What the teacher can also do is, if they need to share, for example, they want all the children in the classroom environment, virtually of course here, they want them all to go to a web page, rather than asking them to actually search for a particular web page. What they can do using our software is they can actually push out that link directly to the children, so there's no distractions. They don't say, "Miss, I can't find it," and they go via Google and then look for some other type of content as well. All of that is avoided entirely. Secondly, if the teacher wants to share a document as well, this is done within our software. The teacher pushes out to all the children this particular document, which then they can start working on. The teacher also actually controls the filter. So the school, using some of the back office setup software, which is available both in Google environment as well as Microsoft environment as well. So Microsoft, it's Intune, and in Google, it's G Suite. It enables the school to set up a level of filter which is suitable to a child's age. So an 8-year-old is going to have very, very limited access to the internet, and maybe an 18-year-old is going to have a little bit more freedom. So working within these parameters then, what the teacher can do if they want, for example, 10-year-olds to be able to access a particular page on YouTube, what the teacher can do is remotely turn on and off the filter to enable them to actually access a certain page. When they've done that, when they've done the exercise, when they've taken them through whatever learning they need to do, they can turn that filter back on again. One of the interesting things that we've been doing, and we've developed a concept that we call digital parental interaction, which means that what we want is for parents to be as actively involved in their children's education as possible. How does that manifest itself? Well, in the previous environment that we had, child had a device at school. In some cases, it was funded by the school, sometimes by the parents, and sometimes by another third party. When the child takes that device home after the school hours, they think they have access to the internet to do what they want, surf where they want, and access whatever content they want. What we've done is we put in place through our software that the onus and the responsibility to be able to manage what the child is actually accessing passes through to the parent. And we have a very simple free application which can be downloaded, suitable for iOS as well as for Android, that the parent can then start to manage that. So they don't need to touch the device at all. With their device, they can select what type of filter they want to have outside of the school hours. So if they want to maintain the same level of filter that is used during school time, they can enforce that. Secondly, if they say, okay, I'm very liberal, I'm going to allow the child free access, they can also do that. That's up to the parents. And if they say, no, I want to block completely access to either games, to internet, they can do all of that. And we operate a system using black pages and white pages. And we put certain words, in particular, for example, we could put suicide, we could put sex, we could put pornography in there, and any single web page which contains of any one of those terms is blocked automatically. So it's something that that the school can obviously do initially, and then outside of school times, and obviously now when children are working at home as well, this is something that the parent can actually manage, that they can actually set up and change if they want to throughout that particular period. The other thing that we also do as well, because addiction is a big problem with children and technology, and probably for us adults as well, albeit we're a little bit more difficult to change. The parent, using again the mobile application, can actually freeze the screen, so bring the child away from their virtual world back to the real world. We've created a series of icons, so it could be it's meal time, it could be it's bath time, it could be it's time to talk with your parents. So we're trying to encourage really a very responsible, very open communication system between children and parents. And by freezing the screen, the child can turn the device on and off, and it's going to be constantly frozen as well. There's no way they can get around that at all. It really tries to teach children how to use technology responsibly, creating parameters, building walls where the walls should exist, where the school thinks they exist, and then obviously giving parents that opportunity to do exactly the same thing. And when you do set up almost this walled environment, you can enable children to use their curiosity to search for things which are appropriate to them, but to block things which are not appropriate to them. And we think this is a very important aspect really of education, from small children right the way up to those who are about to go into university. We need to create this environment. We need to create a framework, and we need to guide children correctly, whereby when they do have this freedom, that that they have learnt responsibility, that they have learnt not to be addicted to technology as well, because we think this is very, very important.
Okay, thank you very much, Brian. That was really very interesting, very exciting. And I believe that the session is really intense, and probably we will need, 2 or 3 more episodes of this particular season. So I'll quickly go back to Shoaib, and then after Shoaib, I'll go back to Anna, and then we'll wrap up the session. So Shoaib, if you can briefly explain about Retailigence, and especially in the wake of how especially the retail business in the telco and the mobile environment, which has been impacted by COVID-19. So, and eventually I believe that brick and mortar businesses have been, far long been moving from physical stores to online and e-commerce retailing. So in all of the current scenario, how do you see your product fitting in? What measures you guys are doing, what new services you guys are introducing? And what's the impact you are seeing actually having either starting or beginning to start even in Pakistan's market?
Thank you so much, Rizwan Saf. Actually, let me talk about Retailigence. I'm the CEO of the Retailigence. Retailigence is a software company. We help mobile brands and their distributors to see the real-time behavior of their products, their retailers, and their staff. Because our software app will help them to manage their retail network, to manage their sales network, to manage their product inventory, and also to manage their sales staff who continuously remain in the market So it is in a need to have a bird eye view on the retail staff and the sales product, because the competition is very high. So you need to be very focused and data driven to be very successful in the market. So in these days, COVID-19, when we started, so this was a new concept to introduce a software solution to the mobile handset companies to manage their retail operations. So we received a lot of obstacles in the terms of technology, that they are working in a traditional business, so they was very satisfied with their traditional business. So now the COVID-19 realized that, so you need to all to go digital, so to work more better and more efficient. In COVID-19, I saw most of the retailers working on Facebook, working on a different network to spread their word that they have a retail outlet, they have a stock in their hand, they wanted to sell it to the market, and before even they was not trusting to selling online. So this the COVID-19 were impacted a lot of humans. It also realized the people. It also opened new business revenues. It also opened a new working ways for the businesses. Those are working very conventionally, and they really trust on their traditional business. So now they realize we should move to toward digital transformation. So then in COVID-19, Retailigence is hosted this Digital Bethak. Today we have a wonderful fifth session where thank you so much, Mark, Brian, and Anna, for joining us today, because we wanted to spread our word, and we wanted to let people know that how mobile and mobile technology can transform their lifestyle. Thank you as well.
Thank you, Shoaib. Really appreciate. It seems we definitely need more sessions on all of these topics. So coming back to you, Anna, I remember last time in the Mobile World Congress we met in Barcelona. I understand that you work very closely with the GSMA as well. So if you can quickly explain that from the Net Clean perspective, how industry and overall GSMA as an association is being involved in this endeavor, and
and also I can add, we have a 4 minute left to close the session. 4 minute left. Just reminded to you.
Sure.
Yeah,
so,
sure. So the GSMA is a very important body for us, of course. We are members in the GSMA, and they are also a customer of ours. GSMA is important because they're members, they are connecting the world. And by connecting the world, it also means that you have to take responsibility of that connection. And that's where we come in. I mean, if you look at all the initiatives that GSMA have with the child sexual abuse initiative, and also the digital declaration, where CEOs of the member companies of GSMA is signing that they are going to deliver connectivity and services that are ethical. I think that that's also something that where we come in. And just to sort of talk about the societal impact of our solutions, we collaborate with law enforcement agencies around the world. When they find child sexual abuse material, every image and video they find get its own fingerprint or hash value, and that hash value is shared with us. So we have a database of unique hashes of classified child sexual abuse material. Our solution works like a virus detection solution. It sits on every endpoint in an organization, and it detects when someone is consuming known child sexual abuse material, regardless of where that material comes from. The corporate or the companies that are using our software, they get notification in a central management console, which is managed on premise at the customer site. When they get an alarm, they notify law enforcement, and they start a collaboration with them that enables law enforcement to proceed with further investigation. That further investigations often reveal newly produced material on other devices around the offender. And in many cases, they also find children that lives in the offender's house or proximity. So by using our solution and by following a trail of a detected image, you can actually find new material, safeguard children, and put offenders in for prosecution. And that's a really powerful societal impact. And I think that all companies that want to have a business in the future, they need to drive their businesses with more than just profit. They need to do good for society, and that ties it back to GSMA and the digital declaration and all the other initiatives GSMA is driving, because I know that their member companies want to drive their businesses with ethical values and also be able to have customers in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Anna. So guys, we have 1 minute left. So I would like to thank and express my gratitude to everyone for joining in this session. And I definitely see we would need more episodes of this. So let's all individually say goodbye to the audience by saying their name and location. So I'm here signing off from Johannesburg, Rizwan. Goodbye, everyone.
Hey, it's Mark Harvey from the UK. Keep safe, everybody, and thank you for tuning in.
I can pick up. I'm signing off from Sweden, Anna Borgström, and stay safe, everyone. Take care.
Brian signing off from Spain. Keep well, keep safe, and keep secure. And thank you to all.
Thank you so much. This is Malik Shoaib. We had arranged that session with the help of Rizwan Afshar. Thank you so much, Brian, Mark, and Anna, for sharing your valuable insight. As we spoke about mobile security, we spoke about mobile in education, and we spoke about how we can stop a child abuse material using technology. Thank you so much. Keep sharing us, keep joining us. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.